Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my The Flash Season 4 theory videos. So Wally is leaving, Cecile is pregnant, Iris is getting married, too much is basically going on in the life of Joe West. And of course, the first thing that the minds of a lot of fans went to with Cecile's pregnancy announcement is Daniel West, and the truth is, it does make some sense. There are basically a lot of ways in which the character of Daniel West could be used on the show in the future. Mostly though, such arcs and such uses are gonna have to do with time travel, unless of course the show plans on going on forever. But for starters though, when I first watched that scene with Cecile telling Joe of her pregnancy, I was kind of a bit skeptical. Basically, the first question that jumped to my mind was, did the show just really give away that they might possibly be introducing the Daniel West Reverse Flash? I mean, regardless of the fact that some fans did complain about the whole villain reveal trope, a lot of fans actually prefer it when it comes to speedster villains. But it's not just the case with speedster villains, even when it comes to non-speedster ones, when it's all done perfectly well, it makes it all a whole lot more interesting. That was actually the case with speedster villains like the Reverse Flash and Zoom on the Flash, and non-speedster villains like Slade, Prometheus, and the Dark Archer on Arrow. But before we try to discuss it all from the show's perspective, let's discuss it all from a comic book perspective. But do bear in mind that I'm not only going to be discussing Daniel West here, but I'll also be talking a lot about Wally West. Now in the comics there are basically two Wally Wests, not two different versions, but two independent individuals, both called Wally West. Both of them as well happen to be nephews to Iris West, so making one of them into a brother to Iris on the show was a deviation from both originals. The two Wallys as well did assume the identities of Kid Flash in the comics. However though, only one of them, the first Wally West, has been in the comics long enough to be able to assume the mantle of the Flash. That was basically amidst the events of Crisis on Infinite Earth in the mid-80s. On the other hand, the second Wally West only made his debut on the pages of the comics as recently as 2014. The two Wallys though did gain their powers in the same manner, having been struck by lightning. Now the version of Wally West presented on the show so far is, in my opinion, more suited to be the first rather than the second Wally West. Some fans do prefer to assume that he's more of a mashup or amalgamation of the two Wallys from the comics. Such assumption is based on the fact that he is the first Wally West on the show, but also has the skin tone of the second Wally West. But some others do assume he is just this second Wally West just because of the skin tone. But that actually tempts me to ask for their grades in biology, or if they ever took biology for that matter, because with the West family presented on the show, it's only natural that the first Wally West would have the skin tone. Now while the first Wally West was son to Iris' brother Rudolph, the second is actually son to Daniel West, whom we're all under the impression Cecile is possibly pregnant with. So why have I been discussing Wally Wests when my original objective with this video was to talk Daniel West? Well, let me explain that in a moment here. But that is not before I get to announce my new giveaway running through all of my new DCTV videos for yet another $25 Amazon gift card. And all you need to do to be eligible to win is be a subscriber and leave a relevant comment on any or all participating videos in this giveaway. I will, however, be announcing the winner on the first DCTV video that I upload on or after the 10th of November. But let's circle back to the question and why focus so much on Wally's when the intent is to discuss Daniel West. Well, for one thing, Wally West was introduced on the show in sort of a Daniel West style. On one hand, Danny West started a life of crime, pushing his abusive alcoholic father off the stairs and crippling him. His father, though, did harbor so much hatred towards him, blaming him for the death of his mother during his birth. So basically, he had some sort of Tywin Lannister, Tyrion Lannister kind of situation going on for him. But anyway, Danny embarked on a life of crime, ended up imprisoned, got out early on parole, got his powers, and traveled back in time to kill his own father before that incident in which he crippled him. His core motivation here was to change the timeline, avoiding the life of misery he had to lead, and regaining Iris' affection in the process. But to make a long story short, he kinda succeeds then fails, so the whole thing sort of went sideways, and that pretty much led to his loss of speed and his imprisonment in Iron Heights. However, he does regain his speed, ends up joining up with the Suicide Squad once he has been transferred to Belle Reve. And as of now, he is presumably dead. On a mission with the squad, he was presumably killed as he tried to save some children from a time bomb. Now on the other hand though, Wally on the show was introduced as distant when it comes to both his father and his sister, and involved in illegal street racing, and all of that was basically before he got his speed, just like the case was with Danny West. And because of all of that, some people actually assumed when he first appeared on the show that he's gonna be a version of Danny West. Now everything that I've presented so far leaves things on the show wide open for so many variations of the story. Some of these variations would make Daniel West into the Reverse Flash, and some would not. I'm only though gonna be highlighting the three that are on the top of the list for me. Number 1, and this is the most obvious portrayal from a comic book perspective. Cecile would basically die in childbirth, Joe West would become a total drunk and abuse his child, which is something I don't really see happening here. But I've got to take all major possibilities into consideration here. Now in this case, Danny would come back as the Reverse Flash to kill his father, only to be stopped by Barry Allen. And yes, I don't believe he'd actually kill Joe, because I don't see the show getting rid of Joe anytime soon. It's really simple. Joe is just one of the better cast members and one of the better and most interesting characters on The Flash so far. Number 2. Abusive father or not, Daniel would become a psychopathic man, blame everyone for his very own misfortune, especially his family, travel back in time to seek revenge upon his family and Barry Allen. But finally, number 3, and this is the one with the more interesting twist in my opinion. In a nutshell, Daniel becomes Wally, and Wally becomes Daniel. Now with Wally's seeming departure from The Flash, I'm under the impression that Wally will still be the good superhero that he has been so far. But I'm also under the impression that his departure is either because 1. The writers cannot really fit him into the overall storyline of Season 4 with wanting to focus more on The Flash himself. Or 2. He's possibly a missing piece in the casting puzzle for the new Titans show. However though, what if it is the other way around? What if this road of self-discovery that Wally is supposedly embarking on leads him to become an evil version of himself? The heartbreak when it comes to Jesse, the fact that everyone didn't seem to pay much attention to him or to his absence as of recently, could explain it all. And it isn't really so far-fetched because some comic book characters have went all-out villainous over less. And at the very same time, it would as well make for a good twist and serve the entire villain reveal trope that I spoke of early on in this video. Think about it for a moment here. So Daniel West gets his speed in the future, travels back to present-day Central City, seemingly to spend time with his family and to warn them about this terrible future for some of them. And at this point, the big bad we're seeing there, running around and all over the place, is the Daniel West Reverse Flash from the comics, and we're just sitting there watching and kind of expecting that he's actually Daniel West messing with them. But however, when it is time and the truth is revealed, we come to realize that is none other than Wally West having become the Reverse Flash himself and going around wreaking havoc. I understand some people are gonna go in the comments and be all like, if you can predict it, then it's not really a good twist. But the truth is, we should be able to predict almost every single possible outcome, if not actually every single possible outcome. It is actually being able to say, this is the outcome with certainty in advance that makes it what we refer to as predictable. For example, if you toss a coin, there will be a 50-50 chance it's gonna land on either side, heads or tails. The suspense and the twist there is while it's up in the air, you don't really know which side it is gonna be landing on. But let's sum all of this up. In the comics, 2 Wally Wests, both nephews of Iris, one son to Daniel West, and the one on the show is more like the other. On the show, Cecile is pregnant with Joe's baby, and it sounds like we're all expecting because we've all already named him Daniel. But he's probably gonna be named Daniel anyway, which makes him into Daniel West. In the meanwhile, Wally is gone on a journey of self-discovery. But once again, in the comics, Daniel is a version of the Reverse Flash, has it in for his abusive father, cripples him, starts his criminal career, gets caught and imprisoned, gets paroled, gets his speed, travels back in time and kills his father. The timeline ends up restored to its original setting anyway. Daniel ends up joining the Suicide Squad and dies trying to save some children from a time bomb. But again, circling back to the show, where I expect that Wally either left because there's no room for him on The Flash, or because he would join the Titans live action show. Now, one of the predictions here is that Danny West would travel back in time to seek revenge upon Joe West, whom we would see become an abusive alcoholic down the road. But there is also the option that there is no alcoholism involved and that Daniel West just does all this because he becomes an asshole and blames his family for it. But finally, there is also the possibility the show would play it differently and make Wally into the comic book Daniel West Reverse Flash. And in this case, and up until the truth is revealed, we would be suspecting Danny of being the bad guy. But with that being said, I've got nothing more on this topic for the time being. So let me know in the comments if you think Cecile's pregnancy foreshadows a Daniel West Reverse Flash arc. Do let me know as well which of these options I listed would you like to see on the show if that were to be the case. If you do have any other options or predictions of your own, please make sure you include them as well. And remember to slap this video a much appreciated like if you liked its content, and to subscribe and enable notifications for my future videos as well. But until I see you next time, thank you all for watching and have a good one.